Hello, my name is Amavir, and at the current time, I am the Fellow to the Future Leaders Programme. This video has been made for you, the supervisors and line managers to our Leadership Fellows. Some of you may be experienced supervisors, and some of you may be new to such a role. Hopefully this video will give you the important information you need to confidently and successfully supervise a Leadership Fellow. We will cover in this video what the Future Leaders Programme consists of and what the fellowship will look like, what your role is as the supervisor, and what a good supervisor looks like. What is the Future Leaders Programme? The Future Leaders Programme is a regional leadership development programme which has grown since 2009 and currently hosts over 60 multi-professional fellows. The aim of the programme is to enable trainee doctors and allied healthcare professionals to undergo a year of personal and professional development, where they learn important leadership skills, develop self-awareness at an early stage in their career, and gain a deeper understanding of the leadership structures of the NHS. This is done with the principles of adult learning, in which fellows identify their own development needs and form a personal learning plan that they take responsibility for.
For me, what supervisors need to know about the Future Leaders Programme is just generally that it's not just about doing clinical work, it's about you developing your own personal skills in management and leadership, and that's not just in the current placement that you'll be doing, it's the opportunity to go on courses, do some private study, private learning.
The diversity in backgrounds of fellows is one of the things that makes it a fantastic experience, but also means that the supervisor really has to tailor their approach to the fellows that they have.
It's a great honour to be a fellow in a host organisation, and certainly for me, I'm aware that I'm very thankful for that organisation hosting me. So it kind of feels rewarding to do something that's also going to benefit the organisation as well.
I think I'd sum up the year by saying that it's a journey, and that there will be highs and there'll be lows, and it's just about experiencing them and learning from them.
What does the fellowship involve? The year-long fellowship follows the 70-20-10 model of leadership development. 70% of their time is centred around their project, which acts as a vehicle for learning in which to develop and apply leadership skills. 20% of learning is facilitated by supportive relationships. You will be their named supervisor and mentor. The multidisciplinary diversity of the programme enables richness in their networking across a broad area of healthcare, including nursing, medical and allied healthcare professions. They can also access coaching. Finally, the last 10% is their educational component. Most fellows will study for a postgraduate certificate during their year, but they will also have access to educational courses, action learning sets, Myers-Briggs indicator, a 360-degree leadership feedback tool, and the opportunity to attend leadership conferences in the UK.
I think the things I've learnt from the project is definitely the importance of collaborating with others and recognising your own limitations, and the benefit of getting other people's advice and expertise and actually realising that you're not always the expert in something, but also that change takes time, and to have very clear goals about what success is going to look like for you.
The purpose of the project could be outputs, if that's what the the fellow is looking for, like publications, presentations. It might be that the purpose of the project is to have a go at quality improvement or have a go at something and focus on the process regardless of what the output is. And I think it's important for supervisors to have that discussion with their fellow early on.
What I think other supervisors might get wrong is that they might try and put their own expectations and needs onto you and for the programme, and that may not fit exactly.
The objectives you set out at the start may change as the year goes on, and accepting that that's okay, and it's often nothing to do with a failure of the person or the system, it's just the way that the year evolves. So I think a good supervisor needs to be really aware of that and adaptable.
For me, it's really important that my supervisor asks me what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, what I've been involved in, and what I thought about those experiences. So encouraging me to reflect on those experiences, because I feel like that's what this year is about doing these new experiences and then reflecting on them, and having somebody to talk that through with, I think is really important.
It is a funny year when you come into it and you don't really know what to expect. And if you can be given a little bit of direction, but a lot of space to also find what you want to do, I think that's a nice balance.
What is your role as a supervisor? Your role as their named supervisor is to provide the mentorship that they need during the year. This mentorship style of supervising facilitates time and space for reflection and turns the experiential learning from their project into action learning. At the beginning of the year, you will meet with your fellow and support them to identify their learning objectives and formalize these in their learning agreement in line with the NHS healthcare leadership model. Throughout the year, you will be expected to meet with your fellow to check their progress, and at the end of the year, you will evaluate whether they have met these learning objectives. Supervising a leadership fellow may feel different to other relationships because they should have greater flexibility this year than either of you may be used to. But meeting regularly to review their professional development rather than managing their project should be the key.
Coming from clinical practice into a fellowship is a massive difference, and the supervisor can play a really important role in helping the fellow to navigate their way through the year.
Given that it's a professional and personal development year, I think the focus should be about the person and what will benefit them the most for the year.
In terms of the supervisors managing you this year, I think it depends upon the candidate. I think everyone's so different. It's such a broad group of people that actually I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all.
I feel like in this role as an educational supervisor, you need to have a more coaching style. So encouraging your trainee to reflect, encouraging them to think about the root of any problems that they're encountering and to figure out solutions themselves rather than give them the answers to things.
As much as it might be different for the supervisor, it's very different for the supervisee, having this time and this opportunity to be a future leader.
Sometimes supervisors can fall into the trap of just being there to manage your project, to oversee that you're meeting your project objectives, but actually they're there in more of a holistic form for your development throughout that year as a person, as a whole, and not just the isolated project.
What we learn throughout the year is more important than the progress of the projects themselves. I think sometimes it's very difficult to remember that when you're meeting deadlines and everything's piling up, as well as your fellow commitments. So for a supervisor to remember the balance of both would be a real benefit.
I think that my supervisor should take an interest in my personal and professional development, but I think part of this year is to develop those skills yourself.
One thing I found really useful is having regular, so if it is monthly or whatever, meetings one-to-one with the supervisor as a catch-up, just so you kind of set mini goals.
What else a supervisor can do is to put them in touch with their own networks as well, for again, enhanced opportunities for the supervisor.
What does a good supervisor look like? Being a good supervisor to your fellow involves asking insightful questions and active listening. It involves getting them to reflect on their learning and progress so that they feel enabled to take control of their own learning and tackle the challenges that they will face. Your skill will be to motivate your fellow and allow them to develop in their own time.
I think primarily a good supervisor should be somebody who is able to work with their fellow so that it's a collaboration and team effort.
Someone that's friendly, someone that's approachable, someone that's also a good listener, but also someone that can coach you in a way.
And they encourage you to reflect and think about maybe any problems you've come across or any issues that you've come across during your project.
And a nurturing skill, very much, listening to what they're saying and then thinking of how can we nurture them, how can we meet their needs.
What makes a good supervisor is someone that has the time for you, someone that's enthusiastic about you and the project that you're doing, but also someone who is able to invest into you.
I think the supervisor can play a massively important part in role modelling leadership and establishing really great leadership habits in their fellow. A supervisor has the opportunity to massively change the course of someone's career.
If you are interested in further training or enhancing your skills, the Future Leaders Programme can help with further resources. Health Education England, Yorkshire and the Humber offers Training the Trainer courses as well as mentoring and coaching workshops that you can access. There are also resources from external organisations such as the NHS Leadership Academy and the Faculty of Medical Leadership and Management. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoy being a supervisor, and please do get in touch if you would like any more information.